Hello, dear friends. My lovely audiences, welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with G&E TV. Today, once again, it's our weekly update with my friend Ken Hemming. Once a week, I have good time by number one, seeing this lovely face sometimes when he smiles. By two, putting all the information we feel necessary together to bring as a package to our audiences. All right. So once again, welcome to the show.
Jack, I never sleep well on a Tuesday night because I'm too excited about being here on Wednesday.
All right, good. I slept not that well last night because that was the day of the anniversary of the 17th anniversary of the September 11th attack.
Right.
So, and of course, history has passed. History had, they say, flipped over the page, right? And another page is there, but the significance of the page being flipped must sustain, right? What's your take for the anniversary, for the ceremonies, including the speech made by Donald Trump at Shanksville?
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I got up that morning 17 years ago, and then turned the TV on like I normally do, and then all of a sudden it's back there talking about something going on in Manhattan. And I mean, for the whole day, I never left my house. I'm just there following what's going on. And it's very hard to even talk about it or think about it without crying, because I do cry about it. And then I could still see people jumping off. Two or three dozen people jumped off from the top of the Twin Tower when it was like 2,000 degrees temperature in there.
They just jumped to their death.
Yeah, and I remember two people, a man and a woman, but they jumped out holding hands, Yeah. And there were no soft landings, and it was freaky how how these people could pull this off with the coordination they did with 4 airplanes used as terror weapons, and how our country was so dumb that we didn't even investigate people that were foreign, that had a different ideology, and only wanted to learn how to fly a plane, not how to land it or take it off. It's unbelievable. And there were 19 of them, I think. And then when President Trump went to Shanksville, of course, which I thought that was an interesting and a nice selection for him to be at, because that's where the people on the airplane, 40 of them, actually took over the plane because they had heard what was going on, and they knew they were headed for D.C. for the Capitol of the White House. And they said, I forget the one guy's name, but all the men were back there, talking, and the one guy says, "Let's roll." And I've heard his wife talk about it many times. And they just went out, took over the cockpit, and brought it down. That's heroic, okay? And then of course our lovely media that hates President Trump gets off the plane and he goes like that with the double fist pump, and they said, "Oh, that's so wrong, that's so naughty, that's so rotten, that's so evil." Well, number one, that's when America brought its strength together to fight against this evil ideology, okay? So that was a beautiful, in my opinion, expression of, because at that place, at that time, that's where America, that's the first time we stood up to this particular day's evil activities. Couldn't stand the others. So it was beautiful, and his words are good. And
to me, September 11th was a big day. It was a big day not only because what happened, it was more because that big day we came more united.
And and President Bush was great.
As ever.
Yes.
And versus 17 years ago, shortly after September 11 attack, where we stood so unified, so hand in hand, right, so undivided.
Right.
Today, you feel the contrary. Well, that's the sad part I feel about. That's the sad part I feel about the nation where we're heading. In other words, the best way to commemorate that day, that big day, September 11, is to reunite
Stay
ourselves.
together.
Stay together, stay as one.
Stay strong.
Stay strong. Of course, we have different parties. Of course, we have different philosophy, concept, everything, right? Well, our differences are within parameters of democracy. Am I right?
They used to be.
Yeah.
They are not now.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
I know that. Yeah,
That's
thank
what
you. I'm
talking about.
highlighting. Yeah.
Sure. I'm talking about within parameter, the difference. Let them remain. Let them remain there. If they are strong enough, let them remain. If they are not strong enough, they will melt themselves.
We hope so.
The differences, right?
We hope so.
Yeah. So, to me, the more significance to look at September 11, to commemorate to September 11, to remember those lives taken, the best way is to be more united. Regardless of what had happened, regardless of the fact that there was even a big controversy talking about the event, talking about the incident, right? We would rather believe everything said was true, right? Only by then can we unite. Otherwise, we cannot. How do you like my take?
I love your take, but for the normal middle of the road Democrats, the normal middle of the road Republicans, they're all fine. But the Democratic Party's been taken over by something that is not in the norm of differences between Republicans and Democrats. It is really destructive to liberty of the individual citizen. And that's what I live for. My favorite word is liberty, besides love. Liberty.
I have the same feeling or a similar feeling about what you're talking about. For two reasons, I choose not to do that way.
No, you're good.
Number one, it is not a show talking about who to be criticized, who did what. And number two, we're talking about, if we do want to talk about the extreme left, though, we have the extreme right to talk about too.
And there's about 10,000 on the extreme left compared to 2 on the extreme right, Jack. They're not equivalent body forces.
I would recommend, strongly recommend that you and I do not argue on this one.
Yeah, I'm not arguing.
If we want to argue on this one, we can cancel the whole discussion and talking about the partisanship. Right?
Well,
I have enough evidence to indicate there are as much extreme on the right-hand side as on the left-hand side.
I disagree
That's why
completely.
I say this country is record-breakingly divided. Right? I mean,
with one tilt, yes.
With one tilt. And even with one tilt, though, I have a strong feeling. yesterday, I had an interview with my friend Tom Mansell of Timely Industry. Do you remember him?
I don't, no.
I believe you met with him.
Yeah, Mansell?
Tom Mansell.
Yeah.
I'll
look at the show.
Business owner, and he is the founder and CEO for CABIA, California Business Industry Alliance.
Oh, nice. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And talking about how extremely left the California laws are tilting to one side.
It's in the ocean. Yeah, so far left. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to the ocean. We're going to drag the whole state into the ocean. Though now that said, we would like to prevent, we seriously want to prevent the same thing happen to the nation. We don't want a nation to be dragged over to the ocean.
Right.
So
away from the Constitution, Jack, is what we're talking about.
That's why at the moment when we commemorate September 11, which is the day ago, I on behalf of EDI, on behalf of my team with G&E TV, call upon our people, I command our people to be more united, to be more hand in hand, let differences remain, because differences have their own names whatsoever, let them take care of themselves over time. All right, let's take a short moment out. We come back, we pick up something new. Shall we please?
I'm ready.
Hello, dear friends. Lovely audiences, my lovely brothers, sisters, my dear fellow Americans, Californians, Los Angeles, Angelinos, whoever. Welcome back to the show. Check Chow on the weekly update with my friend Ken Hemming, a brother kind of friend, sometime avuncular, and I like his style. He is a very old-fashioned style, and
That's true.
He wears a tie to the date. He wears a tie to the subject.
I do.
Normally he does. And I see lots of hearts today.
Right. These hearts, this is something about save the children. In this world with 7 billion people, Jack, there's so many children that maybe don't have great parents, maybe don't have normal bodies and health, maybe are abused or whatever, or are hungry. So this is I'm always interested in the future, and the children are our future.
All right.
And I love every one of them.
Speaking of love, though, right now we are hearing lots of bad news about a hurricane, the incoming hurricane on the North Coast, especially in North Carolina. By the way, it is not quite often the southern coast of hurricanes hit as much as North Carolina.
Yeah, I think that's
South
true.
Carolina may be a few times, even North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't have the statistics on it. And often, too, the hurricanes, they come into our shoreline at an angle. This particular hurricane is supposed to be coming in vertically, directly into the shoreline. But again, like, of course, everybody's doing
But they're southeast Bermuda. They're southeast Bermuda, and, this is the East Coast, though.
Yes, sir.
Southeast, Bermuda is about here, is above New York by elevation, though.
Uh-huh.
And to the east of Bermuda.
The east, yeah.
And it's slant in like this.
Okay.
That's what normally they're supposed to do.
The hurricane, the winds.
The hurricane, right? This time it looks like it hits this way.
It's supposed to hit that way.
Like a
vertical, right at it.
Yeah, like a vertical cut.
See, and the one thing then they do the right thing, our news people, in that in encouraging preparation, for this storm, and what happens often, once it gets close to shore or on shore, it goes from a 5 to a 4 or 4 to a 3 or even less, okay? And that could happen. But here's what we've got to realize. 1 million people have been told to evacuate.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot of people.
Sure.
That's a lot of people.
It's almost a mission impossible
to
move 1 million people out of where they live within 4-day period of time.
Well, you look at the videos or the film, whatever, of the cars just lined up going one way. Even with a 2-way freeway or something, they only keep one lane open going toward the coast, and maybe 3 of the other lanes on that side, 4 on this, are all going away. Now, it's kind of inconceivable because they're not flowing freely because there's so many cars. And also, you run out of gas, you've got to go to the bathroom. This is not an easy trip. And then they've all done their best to board up their houses or whatever they do. It's actually, we're out here sitting here, hoping we don't have an earthquake, okay? But they're going to have a couple weeks of time, and many people will lose their houses or have tremendous damage.
It was said,
it's horrible.
It was predicted by the weatherman, says that by hurricane force, it reduces from a 5 to a 4, right? However, it brings lots and lots of water.
There'll be a lot of flooding.
Lots of flood.
Right.
They say 30 to 40 inches in a day.
Yeah.
To North Carolina.
Well, that's
North Carolina.
I haven't heard that, but
flooded over. The water is going to go over the roof. It's kind of a shallow area. I was there. I was there several times. It's kind of a shallow area.
I've been in South Carolina.
Shallow. South Carolina, too. Charlotte, I went there, too.
Very flat.
Yeah, I stayed in Greensboro all the time.
Oh, nice.
So it's a relatively shallow area with a vast land like a plateau. No, not the plateau. Like a flat land, right? So you give that much water within that short of a time, though.
Oh, unbelievable.
The disaster, the hurricane, the wind itself, when compared to water, though, Well, probably nothing. It's water.
Yeah, nature has the power of God and more. And if they want you, they're going to take you. What I think about right now, that there's people breathing right now, Jack, that probably in 3 days will not be breathing. Now, some people, they get unlucky, so something bad happens. Some people are stubborn, which I understand. I want to stay by my house. I think I can whatever. So some people do that. And there will be some death in the destruction. And of course, then FEMA is kind of running out of money. Now, this country's got money and will redirect funds from other organizations to help. And President Trump held a conference in his office, where he said, that his number one job is to protect Americans from tragedy and evil from outside. And he said, so we will take care of them.
Speaking of FEMA, this morning I heard on my way in that there are about 1 million bottles of water for the previous hurricane
Puerto Rico.
for Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And was still there and never touched. Never delivered.
This is so tragic, okay? Puerto Rico just totally was devastated.
Yeah.
And
never delivered.
But they were delivered to the airport in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
America got it there.
It is in the airport.
Yeah. And it's kind of inconceivable.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget Haiti. Okay, way back then, where all this money was raised for Haiti, in that case by the Clinton Foundation and others, and didn't get to the people. And so even in Iraq,
And Katrina, Hurricane Katrina.
Absolutely.
Remember Katrina time?
Absolutely,
Right.
it was unbelievable.
The federal FEMA system had given them, had previously purchased about 600,000 of those Hummers,
Okay.
the Hummer car.
Okay.
All right, and they shifted to that area in preparation for Katrina. Right. During Katrina, the whole thing flooded. Everything is no land. Everywhere there's no land but the mud.
Nowhere to drive. It wasn't a
Mud.
boat. Yeah.
Like what? Like 2 feet, 3 feet deep of mud.
Mud's unbelievably strong.
Right? Mud.
Yeah.
So no beaver can do anything.
Yeah.
No Hummer can do anything.
Good point.
Right? So they stayed there for last time I checked.
And remember, in the big stadiums and that, there was just thousands and thousands of people in there, and also a lot of crime going on in there. Very, very, sometimes disasters bring out the worst in people. It always hurts my soul when you think there's looters out there. There's a lot of looters.
My whole point is that you look at a human life, you look at a body.
Yeah.
That's 100, 200, in my case, 220 pounds. We have so limited energy.
I know.
We're so little. We're too small.
Oh, yeah.
We're too minimal.
We're a molecule.
We're two molecules. We're too minimal.
We're a molecule.
Right?
Yeah.
We're when compared to Mother Nature, we're almost nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
And
We're nothing.
You mentioned about those people who their eyes open, breathing like hell. Now, in 2 days, some of them their life might have taken.
Yeah, and it really.
Right. Do they know that within 2 days they're gonna die? They do not even know.
No, not a clue.
Right?
No clue at all.
Now we are here talking. We're here even arguing. When a gush of flood water comes in, you and I both did.
Yeah, and you're in a car, and then you're adios. Yeah.
Okay, my whole
It's so
point.
tragic.
My whole point is that should we be aware of who we are ourselves? I mean, versus Mother Nature, so that we behave ourselves a little bit.
Well,
So that we enjoy ourselves a little bit. So that we love each other amongst
A little more.
ourselves a little bit more.
right.
How about that?
Yeah, and I admit this, okay, like it's really not that hard for people to have enough water and enough little food things to be able to get by for a couple weeks. I personally am a failure. I haven't done it. So I'm a total failure. All I'd have to do is go, they have these things all prepackaged. Go buy it and, you got a place to store it.
I got a 3-pack. No, I got a 4-pack of water in my trunk.
Yeah.
And I
All the time.
On hearing the bad news.
Yeah.
And for cheaper by 4 though, I went for 4.
Yeah,
So anyway,
right.
Anyway, So,
Well, it's preparation was really, really, really an important word. Be prepared. Now, we can't prepare for an earthquake, but we can prepare for the impact of an earthquake by having, because we need food and water, and when you can't get it, you're in real trouble.
in Los Angeles, the big talk is not flood.
Yeah.
We never had a flood.
No.
Right? We might have a little water, but never we had a flood, right?
Right.
The only thing is that when we had disaster, we're going to hit by an earthquake, a huge one,
Yeah.
a devastating earthquake. That they call it the big one.
The big one.
Remember?
The
big
big
one.
kahuna. It
Right.
will be.
So are we prepared ourselves?
Well, probably not really. And then also the other thing of California, though, because we have so much open land and so many trees, we have been devastated by huge fires, Jack. Huge fires that have, I don't know, whatever the one was, 650 houses are adios or gone.
Again,
It's unbelievable.
Once again, we want to re-emphasize the subject, the point
Yeah.
of focus, that when human bodies are concerned, when we are versus Mother Nature, we're nothing.
I know.
Why are we fighting a hell of a war or conflicts with whoever next to ourselves? Why can't we, once again, let's make it an EDI call or East-West call together, me and my friend Ken Hamming. Let's love each other more.
Absolutely.
All right?
And I do. I love everybody. You've got to prove yourself. You're not worthy of my love.
Let's call it I'm for you, you're for me. Like that kind
Right.
of thing.
One for all.
One for all.
That's what
We're
it is.
for each other, one for all.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing, right? So
Reach out to people that disagree with
yes.
Reach out.
Yes. Instead of being you're right, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm right,
Don't
you're
be
wrong.
stubborn.
No. We are all no right, no wrong. We want to survive.
you. You got to tell my sister that. She's always
All
right.
right. My dear friend, with Ken Hamming, I always say the truth.
We try.
Well, there are two different ways. One, I may say truth by arguing with him. Two, in agreement, we say truth together. We call upon people to love each other instead of doing anything else. All right? So we will be right back after this very short break, please. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the East-West Show. Jack Chow on the East-West Show with G&E TV today. Once again, we're doing our weekly update. When it is time for a weekly update, I seem to celebrate the week because it is the moment that when I get together, got my chance to see my dear brother Ken Hamming, who is a strong supporter to the community and a strong philosopher that holds his word so tightly that nothing can kick in. Right? That what I comment about him. His doctrine, like a castle, nobody sneak in, nobody can sneak in, even possibly. Right? Like that.
You're right.
I like him for the fact that he belongs to the old school.
I do.
I sometimes belong to old school too, right? Even though compared to him, I may have some fresh ideas, more fresh ideas of the nowadays.
Sure.
But together, when old tradition, the old school is concerned, we really share a lot. One of them is that we both share a lot about history.
That's a very important word.
Right.
We need to study history. We're not doing that in our schools properly anymore. I was brought up, Jack, studying American history, studying world history and that, and the evolution of our country. And they don't even hardly, I don't think they even discuss 9/11 in the classroom.
There's a philosopher, I believe his name is Robert Tomby of Harvard.
Tolmby, I think it
Tomby.
is. Yeah.
Robert or Albert? Albert or Robert?
I think Robert.
Robert, right?
Yeah.
Robert Tomby, he says that history is not only a record of who did what in the past. It is a prediction of who tomorrow.
If you don't learn from it, it will repeat itself.
Yeah.
100% right.
Yeah.
100%.
So
common sense.
That's
perfect.
That's why Professor Tomby was remembered.
Yeah.
And he passed away before our time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
2004, yes, 2004. Okay, anyway, but he is remembered. He remembered for us this perfect saying that history is not only a record
Right.
of who did what.
It's a prediction
It's a prediction
of the future.
Tomorrow.
If you don't learn from it, it
If you
will
don't learn
repeat
from it.
itself, because the humans still have a lot of the same instincts we had 5,000 years ago. Internal, just instincts. Okay, and some of them are pretty bad. Humans have some bad instincts.
Sure.
'Cause-
Recently, the name of Abraham Lincoln was brought up several times in a huge, even heated discussion.
This is a very big.
So your take about what's going on now?
See, this is a really, really, really good, deep topic. Right now we have this incredible divide between, say, the radical left and people that don't like Trump. And they really don't, it's not that they dislike Trump, they dislike that he's, focused on the Constitution and doesn't want to change America. And some people want to change America. But so, to me, while I've been alive, this is the most widest hate-filled division I've ever experienced in my life. However, we must remember this. Abraham, and of course the press is, not on President Trump's side. The press during Abraham Lincoln's side, they keep saying was even worse and more against him. And I listen to this, okay, because the issue was slavery, and also economic with cotton and all that sort of stuff in those days. The South needed cheap labor to keep their economy going. But we must remember this. We think we're divided now. Back then, we had a civil war. 500,000 people died. 55,000 people died in 3 days at Gettysburg. And these are all Americans, fighting brothers and, brother to brother. Now, so the question is, could that repeat itself here? The left versus the whatever. I don't know. We hope not. We hope it doesn't get to be that kind of violence. But Abraham Lincoln had the same focus. He knew what in his opinion, was right for America's future and for the freedom of those that were not free. And he went for it and paid a huge price for it. I mean, this is See, I don't know what the population was. I think it might have been like 65 million or something back in those days, and 500,000 died. And if you got wounded in your arm, there's no medics. You get infected and then you lay there till you die. It was horrible.
That was about 5 to 6% of
it was huge, whatever
the total
it was.
population back then.
Yeah, it was huge. But President Lincoln, I mean, it's almost, you could also almost say, okay, President Lincoln had the slavery issue to deal with, and President Trump's using tariffs to try to accomplish something for America. But, because they're all tools, but Lincoln was committed, and there was tremendous, I mean, some states were even split, it was, but so the hatred then, and it's not hatred, it was just, well, we need to have our cheap labor.
Hatred.
Well,
yes, there was hatred.
Well,
without hatred, he would not be assassinated.
Well, that's right.
Right.
And that's the greatest loss.
That's the indicator. That indicates the hatred was there.
Well, let me just tell you something. It's almost a silly story, but I just heard on the radio coming out here, a professor at a university in Nevada went into a bathroom, shot himself in the arm, as a protest to President Trump.
Why did he do so?
As a protest, he wanted to display his anger and hatred.
Well,
now that's this is a true story. It's ridiculous.
What President Trump does he have to do anything to do with
nothing?
With his left hand or right hand?
That's the blindness that hatred gives to many people. Okay, but so we say, okay, America's never been more divided. That's really just not true, because back there with 500,000.
One thing for sure,
yes,
even the United States as a nation won the Civil War, right?
Well,
we conquered the South, right? The South surrendered. The slaveries were abolished, right? The cost of that
was
so dear.
So dear.
The cost for there is so dear, the cost doesn't make you cry only. over the
Absolutely.
cause. You want to remember the cause.
Absolutely.
Now,
Right.
That's why we started
Learn.
by using a quote from Tomby that
Yeah.
history is not only a record of who did what in the past. It is a prediction for tomorrow, for future.
Right.
Now, are we going to use the same thing, the conflict, to create another division, if not war, that
Well,
costs that much?
You know, there's verges of violence kind of coming on Antifa
And
that
also,
stuff.
one thing you should know, another thing you should know, there was no AK-47 back then.
Some sort of single-shot rifles.
All
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there'd have been more
Okay.
dead with
Yes,
AK-47s.
yes. Suppose if there's a civil war again,
Yeah.
the number of casualties are gonna be still
Maybe yeah.
10 times.
Well, actually, too, they did invent the Gatling gun in those days, and that was kind of, you'd go like this and it'd shoot a lot of bullets, and so that was like an
The only
AK-47.
what they call these, they put the gunpowder in.
No, I know.
They're going boom.
But
like
but the Gatling
Single
gun
shot thing, yeah.
was invented there. But the whole thing is, so in the history of this country, I would have to say that's the worst or most we've ever been divided. And then actually, you know, America was going to win or the war would end, whether the South won or not. Maybe if the South had, maybe we'd have, you know, they wanted to secede from America. And President Lincoln, you know, kept that from happening. And also, like, people demean the leaders of the South. For example, Robert E. Lee, who was their main military guy, Lincoln asked him to be in charge of the Union troops because he was a brilliant tactician.
That's the other brilliant part that we also want to talk about, right? As a defeated army general, and the head of the rebels whatsoever.
Right.
And in history, you consult other countries elsewhere. What does he deserve?
Yeah, you know, the leaders of the South, they thought they
He
were
was
dignified.
let go. He was honorably retired.
Yes.
And went home to his hometown.
Right.
And left a peaceful life himself ever after.
And when General Grant at Appomattox got the signature of surrender, he honored General Lee from his horse. He saluted him after the surrender. Now, you know, that's dignified. That's leadership. Rather than, you know, you lost, I won. Do it with dignity.
Yeah. That's another point that we really want to point to clarify. You know, that we feel proud about.
I'm smiling right now because I've been on the USS Missouri where the Japanese surrendered, you know, and our general in charge at that time did not salute the Japanese after they surrender and just get off the boat. Okay, it was MacArthur.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, my dear friend, lovely audiences. In history, there are lots of things to learn.
Ooh,
right?
We hope.
I don't push you go back to the to archives all the time. I'm talking about the fact that it is quite necessary from every now and then pick up something and study a little bit, right?
Please.
So I believe in our history, even though no more than 240 years, we're talking about there are lots of remarkable periods that made the decisive move to the United States that guaranteed our cause going straight.
Yes,
In
absolutely.
other words, the fact we're going straight is because of them.
That's right, because of those moments in our learning from them.
And quote from Professor Tomby that history will predict tomorrow, right? So we don't want what happened during Abraham Lincoln time to happen here again.
Right.
So even though the argument, the dogfight
Strong.
are strong,
Yeah.
but I wish them just remain the dogfight level and keep on dogfighting. That's it.
Stay civilized. Civilized.
Be civilized. All
Right.
right. Let's be civilized dogs. How about that?
I'm hungry. I'll
Let's
have
be
some dog food.
Let's be some civilized
Right.
dogs.
Right.
Okay. Okay, my friend. Let's take a short moment out. Come back. Pick up another issue. Hello, my dear friends, my lovely audience, my dear brothers, sisters, and my dear fellow Americans. Welcome back to the weekly update that I host, joined by Mr. Ken Hemming, a big supporter of the community and a constitutional man.
Yes.
He, reasonable, amicable Republican sometimes, right? But he holds the truth. And he and I, from different background, political background, but we have more common ground than differences.
Well, we respect each other's minds and our souls, Jack.
Very good.
That's beautiful.
I have said this many, many times during my show that I was not a Trump supporter in the very beginning, right? And I was, as a matter of fact, very much to the left side before he came to office. Right? I'm a reasonable man, or a reasonable man. By that I mean, show me something.
Yes.
I came from Missouri. So
Right.
show me.
Exactly.
Show me. You
The
show,
show me state.
You convince me. And then I'm the one end up bowing and say, I'm sorry. I look at different ways. Right? Now, and by seeing what has happened ever since his 100 days,
It's unbelievable.
I started to notice things are going towards the positive side. It says, especially our economy. So, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's really, he's only been in, less than 2 years in office, okay? Like 4 more months till January or 5 more months. So he hasn't been here long, but the impact of tax cuts, regulation cuts, there's something like 1,891 new businesses formed every day. And let me say this now, this is what's cool. A majority of those are by females, and a majority of the female beginning new businesses, more than 50% are either African American, Asian, or Latinos or something. So women are now, as well as everybody, are being freed with these opportunities for capitalism success, for starting a business. Many small business is the heart of our economy. It's not General Motors and it's not Google. It's the small businesses where people grind it out day to day, hour to hour to make a living.
The federal has a principle already there, even before Trump, before whoever. It's been there for a long, long, long time, that under the same condition, if you're a minority, if you're colored, especially if you're women, so you have the priority. So the federal policies killed already.
Right, and I don't really support that. I think we're all equal. I think we all got to make our way, and if somebody is trying to make their way and they fail, then we help them. But I don't think, as a matter of fact, just a big famous Supreme Court decision at Harvard, which we talked about before briefly, they minimize the opportunities for the Asians getting into Harvard because they're getting the best scores. So they were hurting Asians because they were preparing themselves well.
You're talking about the absolute equality.
Well, equal opportunity.
I know.
There should be no
equal
equality.
Opportunity doesn't mean absolute equality.
See, and I never agree with people that do the same job should have the same pay, because people don't do the same job with the same effectiveness and efficiency. So,
I agree. I agree.
That's just common sense.
Understand. I do agree.
Yeah.
I do agree, especially in this regard. I do agree.
If everybody's got a particular job description and then everybody's going to get the same pay, then why work hard? Yeah. Let the other guys work hard.
If I tie a screw, it may come loose tomorrow.
Right.
How about a screw with 100 years stays there, not an inch?
Exactly. Right.
Not 100.
For quality. Right. The quality. I'm a quality-oriented person.
And even though people on the same job do not deserve the same pay, we're talking about the quality.
You deserve what you deserve. You deserve what you earn.
Right. Okay, very good.
And now the exciting thing is...
Forget the whole thing. Go ahead.
A very exciting thing happened. There's also a lot of people now quitting their job. Now, can I tell you why that's good? Because there's other jobs where they can make more money. They have the belief, because we've still got more jobs available than people to fill them. Now, we've got to do a better job of educating our young people coming up so they've got the skill set necessary to do something. And I'm a great fan. You know, I don't think you need 4 years of college to be smart. You know, and I'm a great fan of blue-collar workers, and blue-collar workers are exploding right now. And just in the last month, the average income or something for a normal family is up to $61,000 when it's never hit $60,000 before. Now, this is exciting times if you want to work.
There are lots of indicators together that show the U.S. economy is booming.
Oh, it's booming.
It's booming heavily and greatly, and
it's
that benefits not only the current employers so far, it benefits employers who are ready to go further.
Well, that's right.
Ready to start new
expansion,
right? Buying new equipment,
right?
Hiring new employees.
By the way, within either in the last 2 months, in 1 month. There were 53,000 new big truck rigs that were ordered and sold. Now these, you know, your big long trucks, okay, that's a real indicator of economic activity and success. And now they're not cheap either. And so 53,000 in a month that coming in, because they're worthless if they're not driving and have stuff in them.
That means a lot of cargo needs to be moved around.
That's right, but that's fantastic. That's economic activity. This is so, and of course trains do the same.
And of course, the railroad transportation.
Yeah, that's just.
The railroad transportation too,
right?
And also the highway transportations too.
Absolutely, yeah.
They are all on a growing number.
They're on fire. My dad worked for a railroad for 43 years. Okay, and I love railroads. I love trains.
Okay,
but the trucks. This is really big. Now, one of the problems we're having, there's not enough truck drivers. Okay, so there are a lot of organizations now that are training people to try. I mean, I can't back up
that's
these
different
trucks.
Story. Give them more salaries. They will drive.
Right. Well, they did used to make more in terms of purchasing power in the old days than they do now. But still, you can get your way up to 80 grand pretty fast in this business, and also in all the trade craftsman businesses, plumbing and blah blah blah. You start out, not knowing much. You get trained, and then you're an apprentice, and then all of a sudden you develop skills, and then you're making 80 or 100,000.
Okay, my dear friend. While we have some time left, right?
I'm too excited now.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And I have something that I thought for quite a while.
Yes, sir.
To share with Ken Hemming whenever we have time.
Yes, sir.
Whenever we can relax ourselves, right? Back in 1957.
Yes, sir.
When the former Soviet,
yeah,
had their first satellite launched.
Sputnik.
Yeah. The U.S. was kind of caught in a surprise.
Yes.
Right. And back then, President Kennedy, right?
Yes, he came in 1960.
Was very agitated, right? And everybody, he calls upon everybody to, number one, find out why we are left behind. Number two, how we want to catch up.
Right? Exactly.
It is easy to catch up because in a few years later, we did catch up, and not only that, we landed on the moon. Right?
Which was unbelievable.
In the meantime, in order to find out why we were left behind, they started to blame education.
Okay.
Right? They say it was the education direction the country is pushing, by which we ignored modern science and modern science education.
Okay.
In other words, the practical part of education, right? And then by starting that point on, lots of subjects studies such as philosophy, such as art,
soft subject,
kind of subdued, right?
Yeah.
Shy away from the mainstream, right?
Yeah,
right?
from real value. Yeah.
Okay. waiting for their moment to flourish, to come back again.
Yeah.
Right. My point is that to let them go parallel. You cannot supersize one by ignore two, or vice versa, right? Okay, now, my whole question is that, do you think it is time to use the so much good economical climate to pick up our education whereby we left behind the soft subjects?
Absolutely the truth. The problem we have is all the way from elementary school up to graduate school and college. There's more emphasis on brainwashing and ideology than there is on history and education and preparing students to leave and have a job where you can then thrive with your skill set. And that is where we're falling behind.
Exactly. Okay, everywhere you're talking about hold your ground. Okay,
yeah.
I hold my ground against you, you hold your ground against me, and we each other hold our ground against each other.
And we root for each other's success too.
Yeah. Why? No. Why are there so much grounds to hold? Why can't we say, let me give you a hand, you give me a hand, and together we walk together hand in hand?
I like that.
Right?
I like that.
Okay. Now, if we talk about bigger things,
yeah.
Okay, now we all want to prevent wars, right? Okay, now in war prevention, we have one philosophy to emphasize on your military expansion. When your military expanded to big enough size, though, the other will be scared off. Why can't we start a competition? Let's compete who the best negotiator is. Let's negotiate.
Part of performance is negotiation, right?
Yeah, let's work for peace. Let's talk for peace. Let's hand in hand together we go for peace. So all these go to education, the soft subject education I'm talking about. So my question, my dear brother, that I'm asking you and asking my friend in front of the screen, big screen, that is it wise or is it smart to take good opportunity of this good moment where economy is blooming to pick up where we're left behind in education on some other area? Nobody does Shakespeare anymore, right? My son 2 years ago picked up anthropology. I was scared to death. I said, son, hold on. You're not going anywhere until you change.
Yeah, no, anthropology, I mean, there's some great anthropologists on planet Earth.
I know.
But it's
hard
to get a job.
If you do not, he says, why? I said, if you do not want to starve yourself to death.
Right, that's right.
Right? I can't
or rely on welfare.
You, right? Okay,
yeah.
Something like that. So now, are we smart enough to use the moment now to pick up those areas?
The good news right now is we're getting millennials out of their parents' basements because there are jobs available. Most people would rather have a job than to not have one because you don't feel you have much purpose. Like, for example, I don't have a job I go to work with every day now, okay, like I did for many, many years. Sort of miss it. You know, I could go look for a job. I could get a job. I have some skill sets, but I'm okay in doing what I'm doing. But if you're 25 years old and you don't have a purpose and you don't see again now for like almost 2 decades, the purchasing power of our working people hasn't been growing. I remember when I go to start work at 22 years old, and for 20 years I continually progressed with greater purchasing power through performance in decent economies that allowed me to get nice raises.
You make more.
But I also I earned it.
You work hard.
Okay,
my dear friend, we want to reframe ourselves with these subjects, and very happy that we're talking about those subjects. And my dear friends, thank you for watching so much for this week's update. And to my friend Ken Hemming, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Love you.
I love you too.